to see some words from him. Firstly, he asked me pass his best regards to all of you, his friends here. So also say sorry to all of you because he not coming, because now he has some problem with long distance journey. So now I will talk about my talk on the recent work on duration calculus. We consider the model checking extended linear duration invariance. So this is the outline of my talk. So yesterday, Dinas, Tony, and Peritoshi and the other guys talk about lots of duration calculus. I think duration calculus should be one of the major achievements produced in ProCoS project. So actually, duration calculus can be seen as a real arithmetic extension of interval topology with durations. So the advantage of the duration calculus is its abstraction and expressiveness. So as the other side of a coin, so the problem with the duration calculus is its high undecidability on the certifiability, validity, and the model checking, as explained Peritoshi yesterday. So we have to, in order to get some decidable result, we have to restrict on the notion of duration, the use of the Boolean connectives and the chop operators. Also, we give some restriction on the models for model checking. So actually, there are lots of have been done to identify some subsets of duration calculus with the decidable certifiability and the validity, also maybe with the decidable model checking problems. So for example, here, so yesterday Peritoshi have given a detailed introduction on the decidability, certifiability, and the model checking of duration calculus. So I skip this part. So in my talk, I just focus on a very specific subset of duration calculus. It's called the linear duration calculus, like here. So as its intention first investigated by the Martin and Michel, it's called extended linear duration invariant, which is the combination of linear duration invariants using the Boolean connectives and the chop operator. So unfortunately, the model checking of linear duration invariant over the real-time automata considered by the Zhou and other is decidable. Also, maybe the linear duration invariant against the time automata also is decidable by Xuandong and Feng, also by Miao Miao, Ziming, and Li. But unfortunately, for the extended linear duration invariants, the model checking against the finite state time structure is undecidable in both the continuous and the discrete time settings. So in order to get some decidable result, we have to give some restriction on the models or the logic, the formula itself. So in Martin and Michel's work published at the 2008, they invented two approximation algorithms, two approximation semantics based on which they invented some model checking algorithm based on these two approximation semantics. But the problem with Michel and Martin's work is that firstly, the complexity is quite high. The second, because the model checking is based on approximation semantics, maybe for some formula, the result could be unknown. So that which means that we cannot claim any result for that issue. So to address this problem, we consider actually our approach can be look at the Ossegilo to Marty and Michels' work. So we consider to do some of the restrictions on the models or on the formulas, so that we can get some of the another result on the model checking of extended duration invariance. Firstly, we consider the model checking problem of the extended linear duration invariance under the condition that the bounded discrete time. Now we consider the bounded continuous time. Now we consider how to, with some of the restriction on the formula, we consider the model checking over the unbounded interval, okay? The model we consider here is defined by the timed out method. Actually, the timed out method definition is quite standard. A set of locations, initial locations with actions, clocks, invariants for each location, and maybe the discrete transition between the two locations. So I will skip the definition here. So extended linear duration calculus is similar to duration calculus, including the state expression defined here. It's quite standard. Also, the basic formulas, it's called the linear duration formulas defined here. Then we can consider how to combine these linear duration formulas with Boolean collectives, ligation, disjunction, conjunction also, as well as the chop operator here. So the interesting thing maybe how to explain the chop operator. Actually, we can explain chop operator in this way. Suppose the formula phi1 chop phi2 is satisfied on the interval t1 and t2, means that we can split it, the interval into two parts, such that the phi1 is satisfied at the first segment, and then the phi2 is satisfied at the second segment. You can see the informal meaning from this picture. So extended linear duration invariance, maybe we can give a standard form. In this way, means that consider interval for the mass is bigger than greater than a, less than b, but the phi is satisfied. The phi is defined here. So b could be bounded or unbounded. So time domain could be the discrete or continuous. So firstly, we consider how to consider the bounded model checking of extended invariance in the discrete time setting. So bounded means that the time interval is bounded, which means that the left endpoint should be finite. So B is bounded here, which means. So originally, compare with the original work done by Martin and Hansen, they using the approximation semantics. They reduce this model checking of extended linear duration invariant to the against the final state time structure to the decision problem of principal arithmetics. But the complexity is about a fourfold exponential. Here, for the bounded discrete time case, we consider this problem at our paper published at HSCC 2 years ago. We just consider the bounded reference time, and we reduce this problem to the reachability problem with the single exponential. So now I explain the basic idea of our algorithm on these problems. Firstly, we need to make clear what it means that a model satisfies a formula. Here we see that this model modeled by this template structure satisfies this formula, which means that any execution whose length is in between the 3 and the 4 should satisfy the phi. Means that you see that all of these execution segments should satisfy phi. Okay. Now we can see how to reduce the reachability problem, reduce the bounded model checking of eternity linear duration invariance in the discrete setting to the reachability problem. So firstly, given a model which is modeled by the time automata and a property is defined here. So firstly, we need to introduce an auxiliary automata. So which consists of 3 locations. These locations stand for the initial state. From the initial state to the P0 state can be done immediately, but just do some maybe it consumes one-time unit. Here in this auxiliary time automata, we introduce the 2 clocks, the local time clocks, X and GC. The X is just indicate any transition should be happened at the integral time points. So here, because we just consider the discrete time. So another clock, GC, is used to counting the execution, the length of the considered execution segment. So here we have another state P0. You can see that the auxiliary automaton can state the P0 state for arbitrary length of time. Because you can see that we see that this formula is satisfied by this model, means any reachable execution segment whose length in between the A and B should satisfy phi. So once we let the auxiliary automaton can state in P0 for arbitrary time, which means that we can check any reachable execution segment for the model. So now you can see that the checking of whether the formula is satisfied on each execution segment whose length in the scope is done at here. You see that at each integral time point, we run the model checking algorithm. Here we call it the BMC DC to check. So certainly at the initial state, we need to check. At each integral time point, we need to call the checking algorithm. So that you can see that whether this model satisfies this property will be reduced once we parallel these 2 automata together. We can define something a property. CTL property means that some finite state means that in the product we call it is the finite. Once you see that at this time point, the D1's value is greater than greater than 0. So this formula is not satisfied by this cycling segment. Okay. So for the linear duration invariance, for checking the whether it is satisfied against a cycling segment, maybe we just need one variable. Now we have a look at the linear duration invariance with charts. Like here, we have the two linear duration invariants composed together with the chart. Now we still have a look at this model. So naturally, you see that it can be checked by using the standard semantics. But the problem is that you can we can check it in this way. We just calculate the duration values of the first the value of the first duration expressions in the first LDI, and the value of the second duration invariance in the second LDI. Then we can just compare whether the condition is satisfied or not, like here. So that you can see that we need to introduce the approximately the B variables. So which means that maybe we need to do more computations. So on the other hand, we can see that for this formula, maybe we just need to check the first duration invariance is satisfied or not on this model. Then we can get some of the potential choke points. So on these 10 points, which are on which this the first LDI is not satisfied, which means that this 10 point cannot be used as the choke point. Okay. So that you can see after checking the first LDI, we can get a set of the potential choke points. Then the next step is that for each potential choke points, we just to check whether the second LDI is satisfied or not. For checking the second LDI is satisfied or not at the potential choke point, we can use the notion of optimal potential choke point, which means that, for example, here we have the two potential choke points, T1 and T2. So at the T1, we can introduce a variable D20. So at the beginning, D20 is equal to 0. But at this time point, you see that D20 equal 2. But once we reset the choke point to the D2, we get another the variable, the D22 is equal to 0. So from this analysis, you can see that once we choose the choke point as the T2, you can see that once the second IPI is not satisfied, which means that we cannot use the first choke point as the choke point. So that in that sense, that the T equal to 2 is the optimal potential choke point. So that is the basic idea. So once we use the notion of optimal choke points for checking this formula, we just need to the two variables. Okay, so it saves lots of computations. So for some cases, because of we use the disjunction, maybe we need to consider several optimal potential choke points at the same time. For this example, at the same time, we have two optimal potential choke points, T equal to 1 and T equal to 2, okay? So on the other hand, maybe because we use the negation and the disjunction, maybe we cannot find the optimal potential choke point. For this case, we have to consider the formula according to the standard semantics, okay? The detailed algorithm can be found in our paper. So this is the implementation. So we compared our implementation with Vicious implementation based on the approximation semantics. Here we use an example to show that based on our algorithm for the bounded discrete time, you can see that we can get a much better performance. Okay. Now we consider how to handle the bounded model checking of extended linear duration invariance in the continuous time setting. So the basic idea is that given a timed automata as the model, we translate the timed automata into the time regular expression, and then we include in that the timed regular expression and the bounded extended linear duration in one's formula into a quantified disjunctive linear arithmetic. Now we can apply the quantified elimination technique to verify whether the resulted formula is true or not. The encoding procedure is quite similar to Martin and Vicious work. Okay. Here we have some restriction on the continuous time. Firstly, we timed automata, which means the model we consider here can be expressed as a timed regular expression. So in general, timed automata is more expressive than the timed regular expression, which is equivalent to the generalized timed regular expression. So the second restriction is that in our model, Zeno phenomena is not allowed. Okay. So now here I use a small example to explain the basic idea. Here we have a timed automata here with some restriction as the model. Here is the formula we have. Now the first step, we can transform the timed automata to timed regular expression. Then we can get this three simple timed expression. So the given timed automata is equivalent to the disjunction of these three timed regular expression. Okay. Then we consider how to translate the formula with this simple timed regular expression. So after introducing some variables for this first disjunct, we introduce the three variables T1, T2, T3 to stand for the timing residing in the states SI. Okay. Now we also introduce a new variable epsilon, stand for the choke point is taken inside the state as epsilon. So then we also introduce another new variable tau, stand for the part of the residing time in S epsilon allocated to the first ELGI. So after introducing these variables, you can see we can translate this formula, whether this model is satisfy the given formula in a simple way. So firstly, we just consider the timing constant on the considered interval. So this is message information is get from this timed regular expression as well as this formula. So this is a constant on the intervals. Also, as the constant on the residing time on each location. Then you can see once we choose the choke point as the first location, you see that the first duration expression will become the tau. So that because according to this formula, the first duration expression should be less than 2. So we have this expression. So the second duration expression will become the T2. So because its value is required to less than 1, so we have this constant. But also because the first choke point is because here we choose the choke point in the first location, so we have the choke point time is less than the T1. So similarly, we can get the we can assume the choke point happened at the second state or third state. We can get the corresponding constant, so that we can translate whether time regular expression satisfies the given formula into quantified disjunct linear arithmetic formula. Then we can use the quantified elimination technique to solve the formula. You see, for this example, we can the result formula is not satisfied. We can get a counter example like here. Now we go to the last sub problem we solved here. The basic idea is that for the unbounded model checking, we reduced the bounded model checking. So, but the problem is that we need to calculate a bound, so that the given formula is satisfied respect to the unbounded interval, if only if the formula is satisfied on the bounded time interval. Okay. Here I give the basic idea how to calculate this bounded interval. Here you see that this is a time model with one loop. This is a time formula. This is a LDR formula. So this formula you can see have this last property. You see the first duration expression is the positive, means that once we calculate this duration expression in one iteration, you can see that its value should be the S0 is 1 is 3, so it's positive. So for the second duration expression, it is also the positive. It is 5. Okay. So now you can see that we can check that, but you can see that once the execution of this loop is more than this bound, this formula is not satisfied anymore. Okay, this formula is not satisfied anymore. So that we can calculate a bound. So for this model, we just consider the finite intervals. Similarly, we can calculate. So once the extended duration invariants have this property, we also can calculate a bound. Okay, I think I can finish.
It's fine to go.
Yeah. So this is the bound we calculated. Okay. So in general, for this sub problems, we can for any type of extended linear duration invariants, maybe just with 2 linear duration invariants, we can calculate a uniform upper bound. So for any, yeah. So for the other cases, we can calculate the uniform upper bound in the similar way. So that we can reduce the unbounded verification to the bounded verification. Here we just consider in the discrete time. For the continuous time, it is still open. We don't know the result. So conclusion is that here we consider the model checking of extended linear duration invariants respectively in the context of bounded discrete time, bounded continuous time, unbounded discrete time. So So for the future work, maybe we need to consider the unbounded discrete time. We need to continue to consider the problem of unbounded discrete time, unbounded continuous time, as well as the implementation. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
We can have a short quick question.
You have to choose one.
I have a question concerning, two questions. For the bounded continuous time in your linear formula, it seems that the chop points can only be integer values. Is that correctly understood?
No, because here we don't restrict the introduced variable. It should be the integer variable. We don't have such restriction. The chop point should be the integral.
I misunderstood
the
formula. That's fine. What do you do about negation in this framework?
I think the idea is similar to your work. Yeah, negation.
You wouldn't recommend that.
Maybe I can explain it offline.
I see decidability of model checking. You reduce it either to reachability in a finite automaton, or once I saw this press product arithmetic there. In the 1970s, I had a discussion with Richard Büchi and asked him whether all decidabilities are reducible to reachability in a kind of, and he said maybe this decidability of the theory of elementary theory of real numbers, that's is a different kind of decidability. Is there a chance that in the frame of it, because we are also we are working on real numbers and so on, there is a chance that this decidability has to do perhaps in certain cases with this decidable ability of the theory of real numbers.
Yeah.
If you don't know.
Yeah.
To check them.
Yeah. So for that, actually, we just consider a very specific form of taxon algebra, just a linear case. Actually, for linear case, we can do much better, much faster. We can, for the quantified elimination, we can use the virtual substitution proposed by Wiesfeld, is a German mathematician. It's much faster. In general case, the worst case have the same complexity, double exponential, but in practice, much faster than the standard quantified elimination based on the cylindrical algebra decomposition technique proposed by Collins. Much faster. So I don't have so much time to explain this issue. Yeah, okay, thank you for your point out.
Okay, thank you again. So next talk will be given by Ziming. Then I think this is the topic. The title is different from the title in the paper.
Yeah. So because there's not much hybrid yet, not much physical yet. Yes. Thank you, Jonathan, for inviting me. So we're happy to come here to see lots of old friends and new friends Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't join you yesterday because of teaching. Yeah. Okay, so I just added these slides because I saw that Jonathan made a request to other colleagues. Okay, my relation to ProCoS, not that extensive, but I was paid by ProCoS for 5 months in 1991 to 1992. Yeah, I worked at BTU with Anders, Hans-Richo, and Mikhail and Dr. Chen there, and produced this work, probabilistic duration calculus. But of that, I have been influenced and worked with a lot of good colleagues who worked for ProCoS. So at UNIST 2002 to 2013, I worked with Dr. Chen and He Jifeng and Anders as visitor, regular visitor at that time. But now, with Johnson, we sit back to back.
We sometimes turn around.
So that's basically my relation with ProCoS. Very proud of this relation. Okay, so the background of this talk. So because of the interruption of work and in 2 years' time. Yeah. So want to put all coursework in a kind of new context. You may say that the emperor's new clothes, or you say that the old bottle tried to put some new wines, but neither clothes is worked out yet. Now the wine is made up for a while yet. Okay, but our recent engagement is basically at Birmingham because of the feature of that city and that West Midlands. So we're all engaging with discussions within industries and government organizations, and also in the context of Act 2020. So it's basically software for integrated health and care services, and software for manufacture, product and workflow management, especially those the so-called factories of the future. So with the product and workflow management integrated with the engineering processes, that kind of systems. And the software for maintenance of network critical infrastructure. So that's basically like transport network and power grids and etc. So those basically delivers the critical services to ensure the smooth functioning of economy and also our lives of citizens. That kind of content. So cyber-physical components are there. Yeah, so we do have cyber components. We do have physical components on there. Another feature is basically the heterogeneous interaction technologies, satellites and mobile phones and the internet, etc. So, and when we talk to colleagues sitting in a table with industry people and with governmental organization people, domain experts, we mainly talk about use cases. When I talk use cases in my way, then they talk use cases and seems that we can understand. And we talk about workflows, and workflows seem that they understand. And the architecture, components, interactions, etc., they also understand. If we talk about more precise modeling and verification, or etc., defines struggle. I think lots of them never heard of. Testing, simulation, prototyping, that's the stuff they like to hear. Yeah. So based on this, looking at this kind of systems, we are trying to see that. So one thing is that these systems we can't imagine that such a system will be built once for all. It will ever changing our evolution, incremental automation, adding more and more components, and adding more and more interpretation modules for interoperability. So that's basically our evolving architecture as one of the fundamental features of these systems. So certainly different models for data, and that's also a challenge for example, when we talk about the integrated healthcare services, the electronic health record, there is quite a lot of misunderstanding there what that really electronic health record means. So it's actually most of the time actually if you look at the definition is abstract model, it's concept model of the physical record. That is still widely accepted. So these are the kind of challenges and features of these kind of systems. So thinking of this, though, really trying to think about the all-cost as basically refinement framework for component object systems at different Xiaoshan. And I worked during my time in Macau at UNIST. So we're trying to do this continuous integration of new components with legacy components in a plug-and-play manner, and the specification purpose of integration that basically interface-based use case and the workflow review. So talking about really getting into the application domain, talking about the processes and workflows and use cases, try to build model from there. So the objective is basically try to use unifying semantics of series of programming like proposed by Tony and Yifeng in the book UTP. And we try to look at model, how to build models, analysis, verification, simulation in a kind of framework, in kind of consistent manner. So we do focus on system architecture modeling, composition, refinement, evolution. So architecture modeling, we also use it for identification of system vulnerabilities because you have these heterogeneous interactions. You have hybrid components as well. So you can identify vulnerabilities of security, vulnerabilities of safety, and try to make architectural decisions like where you are going to make change your architecture for fault tolerance, changing your architecture for more accessibility, changing your architecture for more security, So that based on architecture, problems of architecture and then their improvement. That's basically what we are trying to address. Okay, here's the main philosophy of all-cost. Actually is very much based on the theme of model-driven. Model basically would like to build system models to gain confidence in requirements and design. That's basically the purpose of building models. So it's, the form method is very much rooted in form method because we do very much use abstraction. So for information hiding, and so that we can well-focused and problem-oriented. So we also do decomposition, separation of concern. And of course, when we come to design, to build systems and composition or synthesis will be used as well. So this basically for divide, conquer, incremental development is basically software engineering or our engineering principles. So formalization is basically trying to ensure the process is repeatable and artifacts can be analyzed. So you can see that it's basically a kind of multi-dimensional approach. So we start with interface contract or use cases talking at the application level. That's the highest level of requirements model we say. Then we do decomposition, also do functionality refinement. That's basically the refinement of levels of abstraction down to implementation. So this is a hierarchy of components. You do decomposition of components, you compose components of composition as well. So we also do separation of concerns. So data models and data functionalities are basically local functionalities of each interface action has to carry out a kind of local data check that we call it local functionality. That's more or less like in pre and post conditions. Will be dealt within whole logic of the basic UTP calculus. So we talk about interaction model. Basically, the actors interact with the components, and components also as an actor to interact with other components. That's kind of interaction model. That's very much like, if in the mathematical model, we very much like the CSP model, but people in industry, they like the sequence diagram view, so looking at interaction. But we do automatic translation from sequence diagram to CSP. And reactive behavior model, or dynamic behavior model, like time automata, IO automata, that's basically for dynamic behavior analysis, model checking, or application-dependent properties, liveness, or safety. So all of these ideas is basically try to develop a kind of basis for our tool development. We start with tool development, but possibly because all the kind of interruptions, the non-stable of the research team seems to never complete. Okay, architecture components. So service providers and including computer devices, realize functions, processes that coordinating the control components, so interactions. That's also components, connectors, components are also composed and acted through interfaces. We do intend, but we haven't done yet, to have different types of interfaces for different kind of interaction mechanism and protocols, because we spent quite some time talking to the Chinese colleagues about high-speed control system. You do have radio control components. You do have the track sensor. You do have signals as well. So this different kind of interaction, different kind of communication should be also captured as components so that we can identify the uncertainties or vulnerabilities of each kind, so that we can adopt different kind of engineering methods or architecture decisions to make them more reliable, or to, like the track sensor is mainly a very precise, fault tolerant, or to correct the imprecision of the other signals and information. That's basically what we see. Okay. So this is simply an example. If we look at a component, components are classic state, variable. So this is either a buffer or a memory. So it provides interface write or read, or put or get. That's basically, it's very simple. There's no control, no protocol. You can accept this. You can accept this service request in any order. On the other hand, like coordination, we do have control and coordination processes that basically try to put more constraints on the interaction protocols. Right? If you synchronize this one, so that's basically, and this component, you get a buffer. You can only write and write and read, write and read, write and read. You can't do write. You can't do read without write either. So that's basically you add the interaction constraints for putting processes on top of components to constrain the interaction protocol. That's the main definition of coordination. Sorry, this should be bigger. So this is basically the protocol if we compose this to. Therefore, when we do this, we can see that changing interaction protocols wouldn't affect local functionalities. That's basically, we do have a general theory to prove that you can refine your local functionality without changing your protocol, and refining your protocol without, that's a general definition of component refinement when we had. That's basically what we see. We define components. The more general, by the way, I know that Jim used to talk about system of systems. So system of systems and components based, the way I take interchangeable. There's no conflicts of any sort, any kind. So more general components, I do allow internal, not visible actions. For example, if I make that memory to be faulty, so that means that I can't really specify who caused the error, what fault comes in. So that's basically a kind of modeling or representation of a fault, right? So basically corruption of the memory, corruption of the memory. So I make this action as an internal action, So it's the internal, the error we see that it's actually very non-deterministic specification. It's going to change the value of the memory to a different value. Then something like in general CSP style of renaming of interfaces that's going to be applied before you do computation. That's going to be implemented in program and connector as well. That's okay. Then we can try to use to introduce another component that's basically the majority voting component, voting mechanism. So if you do this, then we compose this voting component with three copies of the faulty memory, and we can prove that this composition actually refine the specification of our ideal memory. This is quite, the verification is also the variables. That's actually based on the verification I did in my PhD work. But on the other hand, this shows that, so if we identify a vulnerability in the system, so I can take decisions and try to component-based make that more reliable, by introducing fault tolerance to that part of the system. So these are examples of architecture decision for fault tolerance. So let's also introduce the notion, the concept of components in the framework. Okay, as I said that it's model-driven. So basically we use different views of models. You have the interaction view, that's basically objects or processes are interacting with each other. You do have the data view, that's class diagram. You do have the dynamic behavior. You do have also the local functionality specification, pre and post condition specification. They have to be consistent. They have to be consistently integrate the whole model of the system or the component. The tools to check for checking the consistency like this and this. So we tend to translate this to CSP and translate it to CSP, impose them, there's no deadlock, then that will be consistent. Since techniques like that, we have developed techniques like that. So that's basically the model-driven feature of this approach. And the model transformational design processes. So at high level, a use case interaction model is very simple. It's basically the actor interact with your component. Sometimes it may call request of other components, but anyway, at high level, it is simple because it is black box view of pre and post conditions. And we can make a symbolic version of the interaction actions. On the other hand, we have to design this interaction, use case interaction, by designing this functionality of this matrix in our setting. So we have to refine this interaction to internal interactions among objects. So we very much use the object-oriented design patterns, especially the expert pattern, So this can be, kind of semi-automatic. So the designer can make choice and do the delegation, can do the checking. Once we develop this OO design of this use case, on the other hand, so this is a much flatter, it's not easy to maintain. We would like to make this or organize this into components for better reuse or better maintenance. So we do selection of some objects so that make them as component interfaces, but they have to satisfy 6 semantic conditions. So the tool can automatically check whether it is a component, it can be a component or not. If it is, the tool will automatically wrap all those control objects into this component. So it transforms this model into a component-based interaction again. So this automatically generates a component-based architecture of this component. So basically, you decompose this one component into lots of components. Okay, so that's basically what we see. So unifying semantics of theory, we do have design calculus, contract for system operations, CSP for interactive protocols, IO automata for dynamic behavior, input deterministic and output non-deterministic model. That is more like the interface automata model for easy checking of compositionality. So we do like to link this to the engineering models, use cases, class diagrams, workflow diagrams, or activity diagrams, so that we're getting a bit closer to the engineers in the domain experts. That's basically underlying semantic theory. So that's a lot of work. We did quite some work there within the UTP framework. I think within the UTP framework. Okay. This is the example. So I try to finish it. I still have about 6 or 5 minutes, right?
3 or 4.
Yeah, but
So you can have 5.
I started 5 minutes late.
Yes.
Okay.
You can have 6.
Okay. So this is basically kind of we try to introduce continuous interfaces, basically signals. So it's originally we have the discrete, the cyber interface methods or services. But we really would like to see that when we have a home automation application, so appliances, so you do have the rate of power consumption. So if you want to connect this one to a meter, so the rate has to be an interface to be connected to the meter, right? So that's we introduce this we call that signals. So that provide signal and input signal. In different cases, then we can use that's basically like a function. Input the number of signals, then you get the behavior of that inside of your component. So that's basically, so we extend this component by introducing this. Then if we compose it, then we still get switch and get read. So that's basically like appliance with a meter. So if you look at system evolution, right? If you think we can add signals the value to this one. So if we can make this one as an interface, provide the environment, then we can add the control pad. So this one will read this, then you can define the controller, home controller control pad, so that you can do your manage your electricity budget and control the time when the washing machine should start and things like that. And then this is a way that we can allow the system to evolve, to add more components. You can see that we do have a lot of algebraic equations. We do have quite some algebraic equations. That is really the power of this framework. And further, if we add more appliances, so we can add more meters. Now we might add more appliances. We can link to one meter. All these architecture changes, then you can establish these algebraic equations. So that's really we send this to some conference that has very little to do with formal methods communities. I provide this. What's the name of the conference?
The Australian.
Yeah, it's the Australian one. So they like this. It seems that they like this idea. So that's simply reduce the complexity of this. I think a lot of appliances you can treat as one appliance. This is really the power of our formal method models. I'm really at the rush. Then you can have the evolution. One thing I want to point out. So if we keep this control at home, so our system is secure because unless some people break in, right? On the other hand, if you want your home automation to be controlled by a mobile phone, you use standard protocols. So that if you like controlled by a mobile phone, so use some standard mobile phone protocols. So security vulnerabilities will be introduced. Then you have to deal with that problem if you want to secure. So that's basically what I want to say. The architecture modeling is basically that's really good to identify different kinds of vulnerabilities at different places of the system. So I keep this very short because time is really running out. So that's basically. Then you can continue to evolve the system by linking to the utility companies, by adding coordinators. That's basically what we did. So I'm not going into details of this. Okay, so now I'm getting to the conclusion, trying to catch up. So the last bit was quite rushed, but on the other, I hope you get some ideas about system evolution and more components putting together that you treat as one, right? That's one scenario. So that's actually the engineers like this model in that way. Yeah. Okay, so format promise to deal with system complexity. That's what I want to say. We not only deal with probability, correct means probability, but also have to deal with complexity. Interface model is essential for integration of heterogeneous components and the domain linkage in disciplinary collaboration. That's basically an experience I keep learning. Yeah. So architecture modeling is essential for correcting security by design. That's basically the refinement, and then you start your security, safety and security requirement from the requirement level they design it and verify and refine and verify them. Analysis and checking of safety vulnerabilities and security threats. That's also needs architecture. Making architectural decisions for different concerns. You can then apply like a spec-oriented approach to really with this framework. So that's basically say that ProCoS provides a method for modeling design with a tool support driven by model transformation. So we do take model transformation. That's semantics that's needed, right? And both for digital and several physical system. Okay. So thanks to colleagues at UNIST. So Whitney Fern, Xiaoshan Li, Nai Jun, and Anders Fogstos, and a number of people. And Johnson and Esther Xiaohong at HBCU. Thank you very much.
Maybe we can have one or two short questions. So okay, thank you. Thank you again. So our next speaker is Yan. Yeah.
Jens Otten.
Jens Otten. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Right, so this is a joint work with Wolfgang Wiebe, and this work actually started in 1994 when I was writing on my master's thesis in Wolfgang Wiebe's group at the Darmstadt University of Technology. And we didn't belong really to the ProCoS core team, but still I have one connection to ProCoS, and this was in 1995 when I attended the meeting close to Copenhagen. And just to prove it to you, I'm the guy who was just standing over here. My colleague, actually Stefan Schmidt, he actually gave the talk, and I have actually very good memories of this event because they had a buffet and there was some caviar, and it was the first time I ate actually some caviar, so it was quite good. I've then continued this work, mainly from 1995 to 2000, and I left the academic world and continued again in 2004. I did this work in several locations: Darmstadt, Oxford, Cornell University, Potsdam now, and actually right now I'm in Recife, in northeast of Brazil, working with some colleagues there. So why is automated proving important for ProCoS? Well, there are mainly two approaches. One is to verify a program you have written, and one is to synthesize the program out from a specification. And in both cases, you need more or less an automated C-improving system. It's not always classical logic which is needed, but also non-classical logics like model logic or temporal logics. So the method which we used in Darmstadt is the so-called connection method or connection calculus, sometimes also called matrix method, because of the way the proof is presented. So let me just first give you a short introduction into this calculus. So let's have a look at the following example. It says, well, if Plato is a man and every man is mortal, then Plato is mortal. Most provers then first start with translating this into a disjunctive normal form. So this is the disjunctive normal form, and from there actually you can actually have some presentation which shows you the set of clauses. So usually that's where you usually start your provers, a set of clauses, and that's what I just call a matrix. Now there's a graphical representation which is then also used for illustrating the proof process. This is that you just put the literals in each clause on top of each other, and the clauses itself just next to each other. Now the second crucial term is the term of connection. Now connection just is a pair of literals with the same predicate symbol but different polarities. So one is just negated and one is not negated. So for example, these two literals would be a connection, assuming that we have a substitution which substitutes the x by the word Plato. There's another connection over here, and what's the connection calculus? Now the core of the connection calculus is to identify a spanning set of connections. A spanning set of connection is a set of connections so that every path through the matrix contains a connection from the set. And the path is just if you go from one side to the other side and just pick one literal from each clause. So you start here and then you pick one literal here and one literal here, and each of these paths have to contain a connection. In this case, this is indeed true because we have here this path contains this connection. And if I go this way, I again have a connection, so I know this formula is valid. Let's have a look at a bit more complicated example. It's not so obvious, so this is just a set of clauses. Again, we have a graphical representation of this, where we have just literals in each clause on top of each other. And we have again a lot of connection. Here's just one example. For example, we have QB and QX, and this is a connection indeed, assuming that we have a substitution which substitutes X by B. Now the proof for this clause is a bit more complicated, and I will illustrate this now on the next slide. So we will have here our set of clauses, and the question is this matrix or the original formula valid? So I will show you the matrix. This is a matrix, and on the left side I will show you the corresponding tableau proof, because some of you might be more familiar with tableau. This is just the correspondence between the matrix and the tableau representation. So what we do, we just start with we select the start clause. We can restrict ourselves to positive clauses. It's already an optimization technique. And now we try to find some connection starting from this P. So, well, the next one will probably be this P. So we take this clause and just put it under this left branch. We mark every literal from where we start our connection with a box, and all these box literals are then called the so-called active paths. And the procedure itself consists of actually two main steps. One is an extension step, that's what you have just seen, and a reduction step, which we will see soon. So we first do the first extension step, then we end up here with all paths which contain these two literals are already contain a connection, so we have to consider these. And from here we should just connect to the first clause. We extend our substitution here. You can see here the tableau, this branch is now closed. We have here another two branches. This branch is now also closed. So we have to continue with the not P, which is here in the first clause. And from there we do a reduction step, because these box intervals are already on our path here, and which means we have again a kind of connection here on the path, and this branch is then finished. We do the same with the right branch. each step one branch is closed, and we finally end up with a tableau or with a connection proof here, where each branch is closed or contains some connection. So the answer is indeed this matrix is valid, assuming that we have here appropriate substitution. So now this is a very illustrative way to show this calculus. Of course, if you want to implement this, we need a more formal approach. So the next slide will show you a more formal calculus. I will not go into the details, because it also takes too much time, but I will just show you the basic rules of the calculus. It's the axiom. Then we have the start rule, which means we select a clause from our matrix. We have a reduction rule and an extension rule. So the words of the calculus are actually, well, something like a clause and a matrix and then the set of literals.